No, I didn't know going into this that our very first sanctioned game we were going to get annihilated. Like, I didn't know going into this that I wasn't going to be able to play in the third game of the tournament. Everything that you've seen is a real life reaction to all of the stuff that happened during May while I was playing all of these bouts. All right, so this is my pre-tournament breakfast. There was Canadian bacon on that plate and then I ate it all because I got super hungry. And this is what I eat a lot of mornings. And I know it's not gonna bother my stomach because I'm starting to get pretty nervous. What else? I'm a little bit extra nervous today just because I haven't been feeling that great. I've been like, I might have the bubonic plague or like be patient zero for the next zombie apocalypse or something. Like, I really haven't felt great. I've been trying to do some self-care and some recovery, and I skipped some training this week, so we'll see how it goes. I'm a little nervous. I'm a lot nervous, but today's the day, so let's do it. And after I shut off the camera, I thought about like, what should you do if you feel extra nervous because things just haven't been going the way that you wanted them to go? I had a migraine at last year's Wild West Showdown and I played all 3 games with like the worst migraine. I think all you can think about in situations like that where you're extra nervous because something isn't feeling right or something isn't off but you have to perform anyway and do your best, and that's all anyone can ask of you, and that's kind of what I'm aiming for. If that's not as good as I think that I should be doing, then you know, my expectations need to be managed, I guess. Good morning after the first game of the Wild West Showdown. Fuck, what can I say? Felt like I was falling apart. For some reason, tournaments are like all of the things that you feel for a regular game times a million. Like, I was almost too calm because I like couldn't react to anything. Hopefully that was just nerves from the first game of the tournament, and I think now we'll be okay. Once we got there, we kind of did some breathing exercises as a team, which I think helped. Make sure that you breathe in slowly through your nose. That impacts the part of your central nervous system that helps you calm down. The floor was slick as fuck. There was a service dog there that was like trying to walk across the surface, and the service dog was like essentially refusing. The dog isn't the only one that hates this floor. Everyone hates this floor. A lot of people were worrying about their wheels. I just skated on what I had because I don't like to fuck with my wheels. And so the floor is really not an equalizer, but a kind of a non-entity. Every team is dealing with the floor. Every team has that in their head. I try really hard when I play to be realistic about how my play is impacting the game. I'd be out there thinking that I'm hot shit when I'm falling apart, or out there thinking that I'm doing terribly when I'm actually being really effective, which I think to a lot of people on my team sounds like I'm always down on myself. But there is a really fine line between being realistic and letting that spiral into the I suck at this, I suck at that, why am I even playing this game? I'd say yesterday that I was definitely edging towards the boundary of the I sucks. Like I was falling into that. And one of my teammates told me, she was like, that's just a stupid voice in your head, you know, like don't listen to your voice, that voice, we all have that voice. And she was right. That's something to think about if you are in a situation where you are not falling into the I sucks and you think you see a teammate doing that. You have the potential and the ability to help them beyond that. Do I think it was my best game ever? No. Do I think I can play better today? Yes. Do I think that I was overall effective? Probably. In terms of mental toughness and moving into today, it's just like, there's lots of stuff pulling on my brain, and I'm gonna need to figure out how to mitigate that for this second day of the tournament. So I was like, all I'm gonna focus on is just staying calm and staying with my team. So I'm gonna keep doing that, and if that starts to become really effective and really natural, then I'm gonna start adding in those other pieces that I wanted to work on. I don't know if you can hear the kid downstairs making all that noise. You know, he woke me up at 4 o'clock this morning. It was a rough night last night. But we got a tournament today, so here we go. Game 2 was kind of a hot mess. Game 2 of the Wild West Showdown. I don't know that I like 100% agree with that statement. Game 2. And this game was a struggle for me. Okay, so game 2, there were a couple things, like during the first half I think you did a really good job in terms of like my mental toughness and keeping it together and whatever. And then as the second half went on, I started to lose my shit a little bit. Count on one hand the number of times it's happened to me total in my roller derby career, and it's been probably over a year, 2 years since it's happened to me. And I definitely got to the point where I was like yelling at the refs, which I try really, really hard not to do because I know how hard that job is. Like, it just didn't feel great. And at one point I was at my bench and our bench coach was like, "Are you ready to go in?" And I said, "Yeah, but if X, you know, if X and Y thing happens again, I'm gonna punch this person in the face." And she was like, "You seem very aggressive right now. You need to go sit down at the end of the bench." And she gave me that time to like pull it together. That doesn't happen to me very often. I don't typically get very aggressive. I don't typically get very upset. I don't typically yell at the refs or feel like I'm being wronged in any sort of way. So having to figure out how to pull that in and like rein that emotion in and be able to get back onto the track and be effective was something that I haven't had to exercise very much. Because I used to be that way very, very frequently. I was a total hothead. Like, what do you need to do to calm down? Like, how are you gonna calm down? So it was a couple of like breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth and just reminding myself, like, I can't control what the refs see. I can't control what the refs call. And I certainly can't control what I feel like is an egregious penalty on this other team. I can only control what I'm doing out on the track. And that's it. So I'm just gonna go out there and try and do my best and try and find my zone and stick in that zone as much as I can. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where you are aggressively like feeling like you're gonna elbow somebody in the eye hole, just think about that. Like, it really does help to remind yourself that like you can only control what you can control. So you need to really focus on making what you can control the best that you can offer. Obviously, I'm not gonna be thinking too hard about what my goals are for tomorrow right now. I'm gonna sleep on the bout like I typically do, but it was an interesting game. All right, so I'm getting ready to leave pretty early in the morning to head out to day 3 of the tournament, the Wild West Showdown. Am I nervous? I am nervous for game 3. I felt like I was super nervous for day 1 going into the tournament, which I think a lot of people can probably understand. Then I didn't feel nervous yesterday at all, even though knowing that we were playing a team that was a lot better than we were, and that was gonna make us work hard. And today I'm nervous again. I think just because I'm tired and I hurt, and I'm not excited to be more tired and hurt more. God, I'm getting old. Maybe I should retire. But after kind of sleeping on the game last night or yesterday, and trying to figure out what it was that I wanted to focus on, the biggest key for me is just gonna be staying together with my team and staying focused. But I'm gonna do my best and try and recapture being in the zone. And when I was in the zone, it was always like staying together and staying with my team. So those are the things that I need to make sure that I'm doing so that I can be successful and I can not lose my shit in this game like I did in the last game. In terms of like mental toughness for this tournament and feeling prepared for this tournament, I think if I had it to do over again, I would have stayed in the hotel with my team, because it's been a lot of additional mental stress, like getting stuck in traffic and driving to the venue every day and taking care of, you know, all of the duties at home once I get home. Anyway, well, not all of the duties, but you know, there's still stuff that needs to be taken care of at home when I get home. But that's not always an option. So, you know, you gotta take it as it comes and figure out how to make it fit. And I've had to work really hard to kind of fit my own little personal like mental toughness rituals in. You know, it wasn't perfect, but nothing ever is. And you just kind of have to go with what you got, so.
Get up, damn it!
Oh, this hurts. I have to hold it with my other arm. All right, so game 3. Shockingly different than I thought it was going to. My team is playing right now, and they're doing an amazing job. So my very first jam, I ended up falling and twisting my ankle, and an opposing skater landed right on it, and I couldn't get up, and it hurt really, really bad, and the EMTs had to come out and like roll me, not in a stretcher, but on my skates. I got on my good skate, and they rolled me off. So here I am, not being able to play with my team in this 3rd game. Like when you desperately want to play with your team and you want to be a part of all the amazing things that they're doing, and you can't. So what do you do? What do you do about that? It was like I had to make a decision at halftime. Am I gonna sit down and am I gonna cry because I'm really upset that I can't play, or am I gonna hold it together and let my team know that everything's fine and that they're doing a good job and that they can be fine without me, and like try not to let the fact that I'm really sad that I can't play impact them. When they came in during halftime and they were like, what's going on? I'm like, everything's fine. Like, I'm fine, my ankle's fine, my shoulder's fine, which is not true. They are not fine, by the way. You know, I'm sorry I can't play. You guys are doing amazing. Like, you don't even need me. And I get to watch them and cheer them on, which is a pretty cool experience that I don't get to have very often, and I'm trying to keep that in mind. Like, this is something that I don't get to do very often. I'm going to enjoy the shit out of watching my team and cheering them on, and watching them keep a pretty close game with a team that is ranked way higher than we are. So that's really exciting. I'm gonna go back, cheer my team on, watch them kick some ass. Fuck, I can't even lift my shoulder to like hit the unrecord button. Alright, so this is the morning after the last day of the Wild West Showdown. Actually, not the morning after, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now I'm back, having not had very much time to digest the game, but deciding that it probably didn't really matter since I only played in one jam. What can I say? Sometimes I think the biggest mental toughness challenge comes when you can't actually play at all. When you're anticipating playing and you're preparing for playing and then something happens and you can't play. So, you know, fouling out is a big part of that, but this was kind of worse than fouling out, because at least in fouling out you've played a significant portion of the game, and this was in the first jam. I went in and just landed wrong, and somebody landed even wronger on top of me, and pretty much that's all she wrote. Like, I guess what the question becomes, what do you do when you can't play and that sucks? Like, what do you do to help your team? Because whether you're an alternate or you're a bench warmer or you're just there cheering your team on and you're not actually on the game, or you hurt yourself and you can't play after the first jam, or you get ejected and you foul out, the fact of the matter is that you can't help your team on the track anymore. Like, you're not part of that team dynamic. That doesn't mean that you're not part of a team dynamic, but you're just not part of that one. I'm missing out on the opportunity to play in a tournament with my team. I was having a pretty good tournament in terms of what I feel like was my play up to that point, and I wanted to see how I could progress in this third game, and like, I'm missing all of these opportunities. When I finally like came to terms with the fact that I wasn't gonna be putting my skates back on and that I wasn't gonna be going back out onto the track, is that I can't let how upset I am show, right? Like, of course I really want to lay down in the locker room and curl into the field position and cry, curl up into a ball and die. Because if you do that, regardless of whether you're going to step onto the track with your team again, they're gonna pick up on that, right? That's one of the things that you probably have noticed if you play a team sport, even if it's not roller derby, is that like, if one person starts to spiral downward, it's gonna start happening to everybody. If one person starts to get really frantic on the track, then their entire wall is going to pick that up. And in the sense where like you can no longer play and you're really disappointed about it, you kind of have to swallow your disappointment. You can't let your team know. Reassuring everybody that I'm fine, right? Like, nothing's broken. I don't have to go to the hospital. Like, I'm totally fine. You guys are doing an amazing job, right? Reaffirm all of the amazing things that they're doing. So telling them, like, while I was sitting in the EMT station, all of the cool things I noticed that they were doing. So reaffirming I'm okay, telling them that they're doing awesome, and just kind of giving them permission to go and play without you, right? Not that I'm selfish enough to think that that's what they do, but if they don't know how to switch off that feeling of shock when I fall down and I don't get back up and the jam has to get called, then that can really impact their game. Luckily, my team did an amazing job. On the flip side of that was just trying to find the good and not being able to play. This for me was an opportunity to watch our highest level team, our chartered roster, play a game, which I have never been able to do before, and to see it from an outside perspective. And so I tried to make the most out of that. The whole time that I was watching the game, I was on Facebook Messenger, like sending a group message, oh my god, a group message, but sending a group message to our training committee members and being like, hey, this is what I'm seeing, this is what we're doing really well, this is what we can reinforce in practice, we can work on these things and they're really easy to fix and they'll have a huge impact. It's like when anything bad happens to you, it just feels worse if you dwell on it. Or getting a speeding ticket, which happens to me all the time. I get speeding tickets all the time. So getting a speeding ticket really sucks. But you know what sucks even more than getting a speeding ticket is like marinating in anger on the fact that you got a speeding ticket for like 6 days. It makes it last way longer than just the 6 minutes that it took me to get a speeding ticket. You can choose to be like, I hurt myself and I can't play, and I can be butthurt about that and really upset, and I can make that one moment where I hurt myself last way longer than it needs to. Or I can look at a way to turn it around. I felt really lucky to watch that game. My team was doing an amazing job. Like, I feel really lucky to have been able to see that from the outside, because I know that I would have taken it for granted if I had been playing in that game. like, that doesn't mean that I'm not still sad that I didn't get to play. And that doesn't mean that I'm not still upset that I didn't get to play. And that doesn't mean that I don't think that I could have been of assistance to my team if I could have kept my skates on. Like, none of those things are true, and that doesn't mean that I'm not also equally sad about the fact that I had to sit there and watch and didn't get to play. I can feel sad and still look for the good things also, and so that's what I tried to do, and it was really hard. There's no way to prepare for what's going to happen to you on the track, right? You can't prepare for specifics. I didn't specifically know that I was going to get injured in the third game of our tournament. I didn't specifically know that I was gonna foul out in my first sanction game. I didn't specifically know that, you know, we were gonna have a really, really tough second game. Like, there are lots of things that I don't know about specifically. You can prepare generally for any sort of circumstance if you strengthen your mental toughness, if you strengthen your resolve, if you understand that hard things are gonna happen and that you can survive them. So, you know, while it's really upsetting that my ankle sprained and swollen and disgusting, and I probably won't be able to skate on it for at least a week, I'll probably skate on it sooner. I'm not going to, but I probably will, but I'm not going to. I shouldn't. So while I specifically couldn't have anticipated that, like, that would happen to me in the first jam of the third game, you know, I knew that was a possibility, and I know that I've been injured before and that I've been able to get over injuries before, and I knew that there are always good things that can come from injuries. And in this case, it was being able to watch my team and see some stuff from the outside so that when I come back in, I can kind of put those things into play. So I hope it's helpful.